Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, April Martinez and Desani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I am Desani Caetano.
And I'm April Martinez. Good morning. Good morning, Isani.
Good morning, my dear friend.
How are
It
you?
is Monday,
It is June 8th.
June 8th, right?
Already the middle
I
of
was
the year.
thinking, right? I was telling my friend yesterday, we're already in the summer months.
It is.
Right?
Hot.
It felt as if though we just started 2026 a few weeks ago.
I told you this in January.
That
and
the
I
year
stand
done?
by it that the year done.
Man,
Yes.
You're counting in like, 3-4 months at a time.
You have to, especially here where things go so fast. You guys have to take on so much news every single day. Life just
But here's
keeps
the
happening.
funny thing, right? I don't count the days by the news or the news stories or the events and incidents. I really don't look at it that way.
Okay.
I look at it from a project-based point of view, right?
Okay. I understand
Because we have quarters, so every quarter we have deliverables, right? And so when you look at it that way, time flies fast.
But you don't feel like there's not enough hours in the day. Like we carry a cultural calendar at work, and so when January starts, you already know what happened in a January,
Yeah.
and then in a February, and in a March, you're already prepping for all of those line items. So to me, when I said January and the year done, I really, really feel like the year done.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? I'll tell you what. We're in the rainy season, but no rain yet.
That's very true. It's very, very hot. And you are in the summer. I don't know. Belize is a very different place, right?
It's El Nino.
It's a super El Nino.
Hey, somebody said that thing doesn't exist.
Okay, well.
The climatologist was once on the couch with us that says that the super El Nino is a figment of one's imagination.
Mr.
Anyway, let's go jump in
that.
and we're going to line up for the show this morning,
Tell
right?
me.
All right. Once again, my friends, good morning.
Yes.
This show comprises of 4 different topics that we will be touching on, beginning with new leadership at the Foreign Affairs, right? So we're going to be joined by the Chief Executive Officer, Oscar Arnold. He's the newly appointed CEO for Foreign Affairs. Next, we're going to be talking about food security and safety in Belize. We're going to be joined by a representative from the Belize Agriculture Health Authority, BAHA, to have that conversation. And then we're going to be celebrating World Oceans Day with Oceana. So our friends from Oceana are going to be joining us for that conversation. And lastly, we're also going to be showcasing Belizean talent. We're going to be having Runway with Flavas on the Jewel. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping that you guys will look forward to it as well. April, take it away.
Flavors of the Jewel, Isani, you're going to go to that? I'm going to be looking forward to seeing you there. But here are some 5 things that we think you need to know before you leave your homes this morning. On the border and agricultural front, we're seeing screwworm cases reach the United States. And so we have the screwworm border closure fuels needs in Mexico. So we're going to be talking about, we have screwworm cases here in Belize. Persons that are in the cattle and agriculture business know that, but we know that it is affecting the Mexicans and the United States border. So we're going to be seeing those cases and what is taking place in the U.S. and in Mexico. And another case in the international front, U.S. and Iran retaliatory strikes in the Strait of Hormuz. And so they are reaching now, I believe it's over 100 days of this war that has been taking place between the United States and Iran and Israel. And it's just getting worse. There's no there's no sense of a ceasefire. Actually, certain people have already broken their promise when it comes to a ceasefire. So we're hearing more on that, and of course how that affects us here in Belize. Bringing it home, very disturbing the situation, but we can see how it affected everybody in there, including healthcare providers. And who owns the land? Now we're going to go into more of a land dispute that has been fueling in the south between Hopkins and City River residents and immigrants. And so who owns land? Indigenous groups called Challenges the People. And so we're going to be hearing more on the side of the indigenous groups. We're going to be hearing more on the side of the immigrants. We're going to be talking more about that. And lastly, Summerfest 2026 kicks off this Friday in Dangrega. And so we're going to be heading back to the south to see Summerfest 2026. Isani, let's get into more on the cases here in Belize, particularly the healthcare providers that were in that dispute over the weekend.
All right, so over the weekend, footage began circulating, and I presume it went viral, where we had a situation at the Matron Roberts Polyclinic, right? So I think, and when I looked at this video, April, I thought to myself that if I am accessing healthcare at any facility, it doesn't even have to be at Matron Roberts. It could be at a polyclinic somewhere, or even at the KHMH, right? I'm there to look after my well-being. Perhaps I'm sick, or I'm trying to get treatment for something.
Yeah.
Last thing on my mind, big war going on, and people that get dragged out and what have you.
Yeah.
That's
intense.
That's the first thought that crossed my mind. Is like, okay, what about all these other people who are there? Now, I cannot tell you what triggered this thing. It's just that it's crazy.
Yeah.
When you look at the fact that there's a child there, and I'm assuming that it's his. So Belizeans made quick work of that press release, right? But it's not to say that the information contained within the release may have been inaccurate or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just that it did not correspond. Belizeans would have said, hit the way it's supposed to be hit, based on a real person to write about this incident and the measures to be taken thereafter, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of prompted the Ministry of Health and Wellness to what we call, wheel and come again, right? Mm-hmm. And issue a proper statement about this. But here we go. Like I said, April, people, dozens, hundreds, thousands of people, Belizeans, access these facilities on a daily basis, trying to, get treatment or trying to seek medical attention. And for something like this to happen, it begs a question as to what security protocols are in place, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because our viewers, you guys would recall, a few months ago, there was an incident at the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital where a woman caught charges for attacking somebody else inside the hospital.
Yes.
Now, I don't tell you that we're supposed to have armed guards in the ward,
level of security.
But you're supposed to feel safe going to the hospital or the clinic, right? Again, it harkens back to an attack that happened in San Ignacio a year or two ago, where an individual had gotten shot, and then the family members and friends pretty much held the doctors hostage, right?
Yes.
So in my mind, again, what are we doing about safety when it comes to accessing these health facilities?
I just also believe, again, we don't know what triggered the situation.
Yeah.
I imagine that there will be an investigation of some sorts. But you're already, as a patient, you're already there. You're already sick. For whatever reason, you have to go see your healthcare provider. The place is full. The place is understaffed. You already have these healthcare workers that are doing more than they need to do. You already have so many tensions, but you have so much tension happening, Isani. That's what I'm trying to say.
In many cases, April, you have to sit there and wait an inordinately long
You
period of time.
ever gone and say a doctor and guys, it's not even.
I try to get sick for that very same reason.
It's not
I don't have
even
the
about
patience.
public or private.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am in that waiting area for hours to try to seek, and for somebody that goes to the ER, I know that we are understaffed. I absolutely sympathize with our healthcare providers because they are so short-staffed, and so there's so much tension happening in a medical facility already as it is, and so perhaps the smallest of things probably triggered that incident. We don't know. We will find out, but. The point is that shouldn't have to be. We shouldn't have to experience that in that place.
It's disruptive.
It is.
The reason being, you have other people who are seeking attention. You have other personnel who are delivering that attention or treatment, and something like this happens, it kind of,
You have to have
slow things down more than how you done slow already.
You have to have a quiet space to work. When you are in a health facility, whether it is that you are getting diagnosed, whether it is that you are going under a surgery or anything like that, this place has to be calm, Isani, because you know how much pressure you done under for make sure you could save somebody's life, and then things that happen outside, and now you have to worry about what they happen outside and the person that's inside. That's crazy work. I just say it's crazy work, but we'll find out more about it, and we will tell you all when we do.
Yeah. On a more serious, somber note, we've been following what's taking place in Stan Creek.
Yes.
Right? Where the delineation of these communities are concerned. I said delineation, but that, borders and boundaries, so to speak, right? And I sit here thinking to myself that as a child, I used to visit Hopkins a lot, right? Yeah. It's one of those, it's a Garifuna community that's, dear to me, dear to my family. And so we used to go down there a lot. And there was always Hopkins and then City River, right? As two neighboring communities, but distinct. And when they left Hopkins and they enter
City
River, right? But growth and development has sort of merged the communities to a point where the government now says, okay, you know what? We need to step in and draw clear boundary lines. Where does Hopkins stop and where does City River begin. Right? And it's a situation where when I look at the Placentia Peninsula, because the same thing is happening there, right? I was telling my dad the other day, once you pass Santa Cruz, you make that curve by Riversdale, to me it becomes just one community.
Really?
You got Maya Beach, you got St. Bite, then you got Point, right?
Yeah.
But development
yes.
has it such that you don't have clear lines anymore that says you are in St. Bite versus you're now in Point.
I disagree. I disagree. Because you can clearly see the development in some places versus others. So I just traveled that peninsula not too long ago. And you're in Maya Beach because you have those giant resorts, you have those big expat homes. It's all fancy schmancy. It is. And that with all the speed bumps there. Jesus. Right? So you are in Maya Beach. And then the minute you hit St. Bite, you see the underdevelopment. And I know for my people that live there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The minute you hit that speed bump over, you see the underdevelopment in St. Bite. And then
it picks up back again.
Then it picks up back when you go into Pine. You see it. There's a clear distinction.
All right, make we circle back to that, right? The issue at hand right now is
City River
Hopkins and City River,
yes.
right? And the fact that we as Garifuna people are saying, look, there's indigeneity that comes along with the lands that we occupy.
Of course.
And what have you. And so if Hopkins is primarily a Garifuna community, and it's been this way since it was founded however many years ago, and City River is perhaps a Creole community or a mixed community, right? Then you have the expats who come in and are purchasing land.
Immigrants. Sorry, you call them immigrants.
All right,
You don't get a fancy name just because you are of a particular.
no problem, all right.
Sorry.
But yes, so you have these retirees who come to Belize and, you know, set up shop and want to enjoy our land and our Belizean culture. So now you have a confluence of three different things, right? The Garifuna, the natives from City River, and then you have the expats who, with all due respect, they don't really know the dynamics of how things work in Belize insofar as culture, indigenous, you know,
history,
affairs,
everything.
so to speak. Yeah. So the last thing that we need is for someone to come in and try to create a divide and rule situation. Boss, we pass colonialism long time. Right? Long time.
Yep.
So we don't need that. But no, it's on the government to ensure that this process goes through the way it should.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we still do need clear lines that delineate Hopkins from City River. It's much the same way we need clear lines that delineate Sinbite from Placencia, and so on and so forth.
I agree. I do believe that in this case, for minus the immigrants statement, Hopkins, the development within Hopkins, you can clearly see tourism is booming and so forth. City River is a historical village as well. And so both communities do have something to offer. I think when it comes to the tourism in Hopkins, the beach is where people tend to go to, right? And therefore, that development has increased over the past, I want to say 2 decades, right? Where we're seeing more and more people invest in development there. Because I don't know when the last time you got on City River. I was just there like a couple months ago. And you can clearly see where the development is in Hopkins and where it's lacking in City River, right? Naturally, perhaps there needs to be more marketing of that community if they want to see the tourism bloom there. But what I'm saying is that for the community's purposes, as they continue to grow, as they continue to have more development, you need to know where the marking of that territory ends.
Let me go a step further. And now we're going to venture away from the actual delineation process, right?
Sure.
So, as Garinago, we are a coastal people.
Yes.
Most of our communities are right
by the beach, by the sea. Yeah.
Because we fish, we do all of these other things as traditional Garifuna people, right?
Yes.
But when I look at what's been happening in our coastal communities, so we chose the prime real estate, right? Because when I think about Sinbite, when I think about Hopkins, the waterfront, Dangriga, you can't get better than that, right? But over years, what has been happening is that we've been selling out our lands, right?
Yes.
And I would go as far as say we sell out the patrimony, right? So if you look at what's happening in Sinbite, for instance, because you mentioned earlier what to you is the underdevelopment of Sinbite village, right?
Yes.
Sinbite was one of several coastal Garifuna communities. I also remember going there as a child, you know, several summers and stuff like that, right? But now, those who had land at the seafront itself don't sell that out.
Yeah.
Now that all the resorts and all of these, right? And the sad thing is, and I'll call it what it is, right? When the white man purchased land on the seafront, white man try to stop you from walk on the beach.
Yes. That's no secret. That is no secret.
Thankfully, we have a 66-foot rule or whatever it is.
Even though they try to violate that rule. Right? but I
So when you
Yeah.
look at St. Bite, so a lot of the lands that are there have been sold off
yes.
to the expats who come to Belize and set up shop, and then they're telling us you can't go here, you can't do that, whatever the case is, right? And so it's only a matter of time if you're saying that at this point you believe or you feel that St. Bite is underdeveloped, relatively speaking, it's only a matter of time before that boom reaches St. Bite. I would argue that they done it there, but you know.
But that boom comes with us selling our land. And to me, I don't know if we've realized how precious land is.
Yeah.
And you're talking about traditional values and so on, but that land that ties you to your Garifuna Duo, that doesn't, I don't know if selling it will compensate for anything,
Yeah.
right? So we are going to be keeping a close eye on this particular matter. I believe that the National Garifuna Council has provided
Yes.
multiple statements on it. I know that they're getting to a legal team together to fight on
And we
their
also
behalf.
have buy-in from the Maya community
Oh,
as
yes.
well as part of the indigenous, you know.
I know we have to change topic, but I have to say that I thought that was the most incredible thing
Yeah.
ever, because we need more of that in order for us to ensure that we safeguard what's rightfully ours. And so I am so happy that we're seeing something like that. But like I said, they are putting their legal team together. I believe that they have statements for people that want to support
Yeah.
the council. So more on that. We'll have more on that later on in our newscast tonight.
All right, so New World Screwworm.
I know I'm very excited for share this news.
Yeah, was it? I just
It
wanted
was-
that to be an
I
interesting
really know. I
conversation.
appreciate it because every now and again we do need new insight. Sometimes these topics come home, it affects us home, and when we don't talk about it enough in the newscast, people
Yeah.
tend to forget, right? So New World Screwworm has not left Belize. It's still here, and it's in other parts of Central America and in the north now. It has reached the U.S. border.
But here's the thing, right? In every adverse situation, you're supposed to go find something good that you can capitalize on, right? So I say all of that to say this, right?
Yes.
So the United States is realizing that since they've sealed off their border to try to prevent the New World Screwworm from entering into places like Texas and other parts along
The border.
there's been a boom in cattle and the beef industry in Mexico.
Yes.
So why are we having this conversation? Because just 2 weeks ago, the Prime Minister and the former Minister of Agriculture were saying, look, we need to start diversify our agricultural products, so to speak, right?
Yes.
So if you're a canero in the north and, you know, planting not eat like rice, they're basically saying, look, try your hand at cattle. And there's an insatiable demand for cattle in Mexico.
Yes, they're beef
Right?
eaters.
To a point where the same former Minister of Agriculture was on record saying, look, Belizeans aren't as much beef people as we are chicken people, which is
Yeah, in our
it's a
cuisine,
statement of fact,
our
really.
cuisine doesn't have as much
But,
beef.
but when you cross over into Mexico, you have so many steakhouses. You have
Well, because their main product is like arrachera, right?
Yeah.
So of course they're going to have more beef than anything else. You know, ever had arrachera tacos in Mexico? Naturally, that's the way to go. Yes.
Right? So again, the long and short of this conversation is simple. Perhaps it's time now that we look at really venturing off into beef
To export.
to export. But again, the former minister was saying that we were exporting on the hoof. In other words, livestock, like
Yes, like
actual
cow
cows,
going
whatever,
into-
right? But
yes.
if we start with the cuts and the value added, then there's more.
I would imagine, though, Isani, if we do venture into that into that way, and on persons that are cattle ranchers and so forth. There is going to require a lot of investment to get those sort of resources, those sort of machines and so on, to make sure that because that's the reason why we don't necessarily do that, right? We don't have the machinery and the equipment to have those cuts, and with the high demand of exportation, we have to make sure that we produce as much cattle to have as much full compensation.
And then we have standards, right? Because with everything, we have to be able to set industry standards, so to speak.
And our food laws in Belize are very tight, right? There's certain things that we can't pump into our animals. There's certain foods that we can't, pesticides and so forth, that we're not supposed to use, that other countries do use in order to accelerate growth and to accelerate, right? So all of these things that we do have to look into, not just to say we are make a lot and export. There's so many other things that we have to think about, but great conversation nonetheless.
All right, so lastly,
yes,
Summerfest is here, right?
Summerfest 2026. You ever do a Summerfest? I feel like it's time Isani hosts a Summerfest.
No.
You have kids. I feel like you should host a Summerfest.
Don't put me on the spot, man. So me and you all right. You can't put me on front street or that, man. No, I'll be honest with you, right? While I appreciate, having kids and being around my children.
He only like his kids.
I have a tough time, interacting and engaging with kids. But we'll talk about Summerfest, right?
Yes.
So Alejo Beni Park this Friday is going to be the venue for the 2026 Summerfest,
it's gonna be great.
So we're going to be taking all of this excitement down to Dangriga, right? Because you guys will correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that Summerfest has ever left Belize City. So this is the first year that we're venturing outside of the oil capital to host this event, right? And where are we going? We're going to the culture capital. Yeah. So my expectations are high, right?
Damn, bring it.
My expectations are very high.
I really love that we are taking it out of Belize City, though. Not because we've not seen great talent in Belize City. I've seen other kids travel to Belize City to be a part of Summerfest in Belmopan and Cayo. And so I'm very excited that we get to go out and talk to other kids and talk to other parents that get to see their kids singing. Food, we have all of our vendors that are going to be there as well. So anybody that is from Dangriga or from surrounding areas
from
that want
Sarawi,
to come,
from Hope Creek,
yes,
from Pomona,
come be a part of Summerfest 2026. We look forward to seeing you there. But Isani, got to take a quick break.
All right.
And when we return, we have a very special conversation with Ambassador Oscar Arnold as the new CEO in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
Security, our top priority. We guard your world with strength and integrity. From home, cars and rentals, business too. We make protection simply easy for you. BB Insurance, trusted and true. Clear policies assured.
Insurance. Your security, our priority.
When your baby feels comfortable, you feel confident. Because every little moment deserves protection you can trust. Kushkin's diapers are designed with ultra-absorbent layers that lock in leaks while staying soft, dry, and gentle on delicate skin. So your baby can play freely, and you can enjoy every smile without worry. Kushkin's diapers, comfort they feel, protection you trust. Kushkin's diapers and wipes are available countrywide at a supermarket near you.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA. So you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing star 100 # using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
Insurance for passengers. You take care of your guests, we'll take care of you. Visit any Home Protector Insurance office near you to learn more.
Belize is kicking off Sport Dad in June, only at Belize.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
And welcome back. Joining us for the next conversation this morning is Ambassador Oscar Arnold. He is now in his capacity as the Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
Good morning, my brother.
Hi, good morning, Isani. Good morning, April. Thank you for having me here, and good morning to all the Channel 5 Great Belize Media Production listeners and viewers.
So, before we get into your new role as CEO, let's talk about your time as the ambassador for Belize in Mexico.
Sure.
And what that was like, and perhaps your ability to strengthen the bilateral relations between both countries.
Okay, great. Well, my appointment came in April 2021 is when I reported to post. So it's been a little bit, it's almost 5 years. April 8th this year made 5 years that I was there. And then my tour of duty came to an end of May. So I arrived in Mexico around the start of the third wave of the pandemic. During that time, I believe, it seems like a long time ago, but it was only just about 5 years. Our economy was almost at zero. There was no tourism. Our borders were closed. Our international airport was closed. The new administration came to power, and there were certain things that needed to be put in place almost instantly. We didn't have a vaccination program as yet, and we saw what was happening in other countries. So some of the priorities for the government was to try to, one, open the borders. That came a little bit later on. Secondly, it was to try to penetrate the Mexican market with the sale of cattle. And thirdly, try to get, sorry.
I think that one of the important things to note is that apart from the United States of America, Mexico is one of our stronger diplomatic relationships, and so for you to be there was a very, very big post representing Belize.
Yes, and I will touch on that in just a second, April. But the third item there, Isani, of importance was to try to penetrate the Mexican market with the sale of cattle at the time. But yes, outside of the U.S., Guatemala for obvious reasons as well. Mexico was another frontier. It was one of my instructions received from the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister at the time was that we needed to see how we could integrate a little bit more in Central America and in Latin America. And so that made it a little bit easier because I had some structure into what I needed to do. Getting there in the start of the third wave of the pandemic gave me a few months to try to really get settled in, understand how everything works, the layers of government for the United Mexican government. And so we hit the ground running after that. My time there was well spent. We did a lot with the Mexican government. We interacted at not only the federal level, but state and even municipal level, which is important for our border town in Quintana Roo with Chetumal. And later we could discuss some of the issues there and some of the gains that we had there. But that was important because it's a border crossing for Belizeans. At the time, the flow of migrants, the flow of Belizeans was heavy because they were trying to get to the U.S. after the pandemic and before that Article 4 window was closed under the Biden administration. So there was a lot going on. We still have a small staff at the mission, but we were able to make a lot of gains under the presidency of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. Prime Minister Briceño was able to forge a very lasting relationship and friendship with him, and that carried over into President Sheinbaum's administration. We still do have a lot of friends in the foreign ministry there from the relationships that I was able to garner and to just grow. And so that has helped us well in the Ministry of Economy, which is very important because now we have discussions on other products, other commodities that we want to penetrate the Mexican market.
I think with all of that, and as you've mentioned, those are very interesting gains for us as Belizeans.
Sure.
But it's unfortunate that you can't think Mexico, you can't think Belize and Mexico without thinking about safety.
Yes.
The safety of Belizeans traveling across the border into Mexico to either do business or to seek medical treatment or what have you. Simply because cartel is that word. Whenever you think Mexico, it almost becomes synonymous that we're thinking about these bad actors who are there to extort, who are there to, to make life miserable for not only Belizeans, but for everybody else going north of the border.
Sure.
How do we make these gains and how do we maintain a strong relationship with both countries given the elephant in the room?
Sure. Well, I think that you will appreciate that there's very, very few countries in the world that you can't say the same thing for, especially with border countries. The allure is there to have parallel markets because these are how commodities are traded at times. It has helped us tremendously because we have some bilateral cooperations. We have military to military, so security forces, they speak to each other and they exchange information. And depending on who you speak to, Isani, because I have a few friends who are vehicle importers, the auto vehicle trade, for example, and some of the older, more senior people will tell you there's always been some issues with the advent of social media. Obviously, that is
accelerated.
Yes, it's exaggerated to some extent, but not to say that these things don't happen. And it is something that we try to keep on the pulse, to keep our finger on the pulse while my time there in Mexico, because we received quite a bit of complaints. We were able to resolve quite a few of them. I don't know of any loss of life because of that. We had a few people who have had accidents who did lose their lives, and we worked with the families to do so. And to say that it was in the entire route would be a false statement.
Yeah.
There were some states where it was a little bit more prevalent. For the most part, the individuals who stayed on the toll roads, who stayed on the autopista, had very little incidents. Trying to avoid that, because I understand that from the start of your journey until you get to the border in Chetumal, it's a few $100s that you would pay in tolls, and so some people try to circumvent that, and they would travel in areas where we would have advisories. For example, in the state of Tamaulipas, which is a hot spot, and so it's difficult because you have to manage the relationship. You have to ensure that you get the correct information that is on the ground. So we used our network of honorary consuls to do that as well. We have honorary consuls, Sandra Castillo in Veracruz, which is the state right after Tamaulipas, very long state that our auto dealers would have to transit through, and she has been able to help quite a few people through there, navigate some little pitfalls that they had. Closer to home, in the state of Quintana Roo, we know from reports coming out that there were heightened activity in Cancun, Playa, Tulum. And that comes with the tourism trade. The more tourists you have, the more North Americans coming in. That's a market for people to try to sell illicit drugs and other activities. And so you can't expect to have a boost in tourism, especially in that area. And that happened right after the pandemic because, as you rightly stated, Quintana Roo, Cancun was open, Mexico was open, and so Cancun grew their numbers for tourism immensely. But to say that the safety, we haven't seen many instances where Belizeans were targeted. What we saw and the intel coming to us were people who were being injured, who were involved in that type of trade. Intergang kind of criminal activity.
I wanted to go into more on the economic side of on the conversation, because the border between Corozal and Chetumal, we definitely see that Belizeans go into Chetumal, and I think that they rely a lot on our tourism in that area. But it's almost like an unbalanced scale, right? Because where they get that from us, we don't necessarily see that coming in from them on our side of the border. So has there been any sort of communications on how we can become a little bit more friendly with that side of the border on our side?
So that's a very interesting take, and I would tend to agree with that for the most part. Obviously, if you speak to some individuals, they will say, well, I can stretch my dollar a little bit more across the border. The quality of the items I get, or I can source items that I can't on the Belize side. But that depends on who you speak to. But there is a trade imbalance, if I can say so. It was interesting to note that during the Easter holidays, the numbers that I received from the immigration department was that there was a drop of about between 24 to 25% of Belizeans going across the border, or the northern border, and about a 22.5 increase through the western border. And I realized that that traffic may not have been solely to Guatemala, but mainly to El Salvador as well, which is projecting a robust tourism economy, tourism, safety, because there are things happening there that you couldn't do, let's say, 5 years or 4 years ago. So that is an interesting dynamic, and we will continue to keep our eye on that. The hoteliers, the restaurateurs, and the businessmen in Chetumal, almost every day we receive some sort of communication from them at the ministry or on our council in Chetumal, the same, because they're feeling the pinch. They're experiencing it, they're living it. Some businesses have shut down. The volume of business in some of these restaurants and hotels has dropped by more than 50%. Part of it has to do that there was an influx of workers that came in when they were building and doing the first leg of the Tren Maya. So that has a part to do with the numbers as well, and we understand that. But we've implemented a visitor pass, just like what the Mexicans have. We're introducing that as well. It will be promoted even more over the coming weeks and months. And what that does is it allows any Mexican national to apply for a card in the 5 bordering states, and they can enter Belize with that card for an amount of days to stay without having to present a passport. So they can come for vacation. Some of them love to come to do commerce in the free zone, right? And so we're hoping, we've seen the numbers increase a little bit to where it's about at where it was pre-pandemic, but we want to see an increase on that as well. The Tourism Board and the Ministry of Tourism has been working feverishly, along with some support from the embassy, to try to get a direct flight from Mexico City to Belize. Pre-pandemic, there was, I think, bi-weekly Aeromexico or twice weekly, something like that. But the pandemic came and they had to eliminate some routes, and lamentably that was one of them. So with that connection, I believe whenever that can be done, that would help us, that would aid us, because in my time there, Isani and April, everywhere we go, some people say, oh, I remember going to British Honduras in the 60s and 70s. And we have a lot of people who would want to visit Belize. It's the only English-speaking nation in Central America, and some of them even remember the name of some of the English products that they used to buy. Right? So very interesting.
All right, so now with this wealth of experience you've had as the ambassador in Mexico, how do you now parlay that into your work as CEO? Because second to Francis Fonseca, you're the chief diplomat of this country to the rest of the world, right? So how do you take that experience that you've had in Mexico and apply it to the role that you now have as a CEO?
Oof, good question, Isani, because since entering the role, I don't think I've had any time to reflect on that.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of work that the
You're moving at 100 miles an hour.
Yes. I tell everyone we hit the ground running, but it's been many 100-meter sprints.
Yeah.
But it humbles you somewhat to understand the amount of work that is there and the gravity of the work that is there. Luckily, we have a great team at the ministry. I've interacted with them over the years, the senior management, some of the director generals, the FSOs that we have there. And so it's to allow them some space for them to operate, to do their job. My focus will change. Obviously, at first it was Mexico, right. But we have about 20, maybe 23 ambassadors who are accredited to Belize from other countries that are resident in Mexico. So I was interacting with many of them, if not all of them, on a regular basis. And so I understand some of the issues that the bilateral relationship and cooperations that we have with these countries. Shifting over to the CEO role now, there's always a yearly work plan for the ministry that is always in place. So it's to ensure that that is executed. Obviously, each individual bring their own set of skills and abilities, and the execution is where there may be a little bit of a change, but insofar as the focus of the ministry, we remain focused in trying to provide an experience for other countries to know what the foreign policy of Belize is. We remain steadfast in our values that guide our foreign policy, and in some instances it works for us. In other instances, people look at us a little bit differently, but we have to remain grounded, and our North Star hasn't changed. We know we are living in changing times. What foreign policy is today is not what it was 10 or 15 years ago. We see in almost every region, yes.
The Trump administration has shown us that foreign policy, that just document.
It can matter sometimes, but
you could always venture away from.
And that's what I wanted to steer the conversation in that direction, because for a lot of our viewers, they might not even understand what the foreign policy is here in Belize,
sure,
and how it benefits us as Belizeans to have these bilateral relations.
Sure.
You know, we see the CEOs, they take pictures with diplomats, and you know, great, but why are we welcoming these diplomats? What's the relationship and how that benefits us in Belize? So let's get into that a little bit.
Very, very important point, because just last week I was in discussions with one of our director generals to try to get some information on what it was, what our foreign policy was like in 1979, 1980, leading up to our independence in 1981. Yeah. Because I think it's been lost in our teachings and in our schools and even in institutional knowledge that many of the Belizeans that came before us, the father of the nation, the other individuals who were there supporting, who were basically living out of a suitcase, going from country to country, knocking on the doors, waiting on individuals, on foreign ministers and head of states coming out of the United Nations General Assembly, presenting them policy papers, presenting them, even letting them know who and what is Belize, because many of them didn't even know that our country, British Honduras, existed. And so moving from that to what we have today in just 40, 45 years is incredible. And we must not lose those values. So, for example, the value of non-intervention, where each country should have the right to self-determination, to decide on the leaders that we want, to decide on the type of political system that we want. And so while that worked well back in 1980 and 1981 for us, we see now where some issues may arise because of the stance and the values that we take. For example, both ambassadors in Mexico, the Russian ambassador and the Ukrainian ambassador, are accredited to Belize. So that was a relationship that I had to manage. I'm great friends with both of them, but we also have bilateral relationship with them both. Yes. Prior to the issue with Israel and Palestine, both ambassadors at the time were accredited to Belize as well. So that's another relationship that I had to manage there.
Cuba, Venezuela, and the United States,
Nicaragua, and yes, Taiwan and China and that sort of thing. So it's not been easy going, but it's helpful to know what we stand for and that those values won't change anytime in the near future.
That's a tricky balancing act, though, because just if you talk Russia and Ukraine, the fact that they remain in conflict after all these years,
Yes.
and there's a fresh round of attacks just recently.
Yes.
Then you look at what's happening with Israel and Palestine, and little Belize is right there trying to ensure that our relationship with all of these countries that are at odds with each other remains intact. That's a high wire act.
Without a net, without a safety net.
But how do we do this? Because you said we have to also maintain our morale as a country, but we also want to ensure that we support other sovereign nations.
So good, and I'm glad that you introduced that word, April, because I was going to say it as well. At every turn, every prime minister that I know of since independence, whichever administration, they've made certain to make everyone know that Belize is a sovereign nation. Since 1981, since September 21st, we are a sovereign nation, and it's important to keep reminding the world of that. So that's the first point. The second one is that we have bilateral relations with different countries. Where there may be some overlap, we try to ensure that we're focused on the country that we're dealing with. They all know what we stand for. For example, Morocco and the South Sahrawi people, nomadic people who travel around, they also have some issues. But in 1981, or in 1980, leading up to that, many of the countries now who people might say have turned pariah nations supported our independence, supported our birth, supported our sovereignty. And it's difficult to say that now, in time when they need some level of moral support, that we will turn our back on them. You just can't do that. There is an attack on multilateralism in many of the forums that Belize attend, but we remain steadfast. And a lot of times, countries, administrations, government recognize that. Our stance at the UN has always been the same for Palestine, has always been the same for Taiwan. So where our policy hasn't changed for those both situations, how can we be in problems for one and then not in problems for the other one? So that's not any fault of ours. We are grounded in those principles, and we will remain grounded in those principles.
You come in at a time when the Minister of Foreign Affairs is recovering from surgery.
Yes, and please let's wish him well.
Him a speedy recovery.
I was in contact with him last week, and he assures me that his recovery is going as planned. Obviously, we want to say, take it easy, Minister. Make sure the recovery is there. Try not to return early, but we do miss him. I believe his cabinet colleagues miss him as well.
Yes, but at the same time, though, you're responding directly to the Prime Minister, who's in that capacity as Minister of Foreign Affairs, right?
Sure.
So how do you navigate that transition? Because at some point you'll now go back to Francis Fonseca as your minister whenever he returns to office.
Yes.
But at the same time, one would say you're cutting your teeth as CEO and learning how to maneuver in that space.
Well, I want to thank you to appreciate the environment that I am in. But it's been a little bit easy. I did have a working relationship with Prime Minister Briceño. A lot of what we did in Mexico involved his interaction, his involvement. We were able to arrange state visits in a matter of days in some instances. And I've also interacted with Foreign Minister Fonseca, on many occasions. One of the first ones were when the transfer of power took place in Mexico from President Obrador to President Sheinbaum. And even outside of that, as foreign ministers, we do get to interact with them quite a bit as ambassadors. I met with Prime Minister Briceño and staff is what I need to do over the coming years, because our foreign ministry, our foreign policy is not one or two persons. We have a great team at the ministry, a great mix of technocrats, and so I need to give them their space. You need to give them their space so that they can grow, that they can interact, and that they can do what we know they can.
How do these relationships with these other countries help us progress as a nation? And I'm just asking because sometimes we see the grants that come in, perhaps we see, we get loans and so forth from all of these other countries. And I'm sure it takes a lot of time, a lot of back and forth to ensure that we're able to fulfill some of these.
I can I can speak on that all day from my experience, but I will well, we don't have all day, right? But I will highlight one relationship, for example. Maybe 2.5 years ago, 3 years, sorry, in Mexico, the Saudi Arabian ambassador, their rotation came for change. The ambassador arrived, he didn't speak Spanish, he spoke different Arabic languages and English. And so he reached out to the dean of the diplomatic corps at the time, who was from Palestine, and he said, listen, I want to pay a courtesy call, but can you suggest someone who I should meet with? Excuse me. And the dean said, sure, get in touch with Belize. He said, but we don't have a bilateral relationship. We don't have a relationship with them. And he said, no, go ahead, just pay the ambassador a courtesy call. From that initial courtesy call to us becoming friends, to us now have a bilateral relationship with Saudi Arabia, to them funding hospital.
We wait for the hospital.
Yes, no, but the
It's
paperwork
there.
is there.
Yes,
The funding
yes.
is there for the hospital. The funding is there for a solar farm that will be, from what I understand, divided into 3 phases and in different parts of the country, so that when there's natural disaster in the north, the central and south can operate, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But that came from
one
just
phone
an initial
call.
interaction there. And we're hoping to grow that. And that happens with many instances.
See, before we wrap up this conversation with you, you're also coming in at a time where Belize is before the World Court,
Yeah.
right? With the Guatemala,
The ICJ.
ICJ.
yes, the whole territorial dispute. So, coming in at this time, how do you transition, or what would be your working knowledge interacting with those who are representing Belize at the
Think a resolution, I think, towards the end of 2027, because before that we have the first hurdle, which is the claim from Honduras that has entered. We have a slew of lawyers that Belize is paying top money for to defend our case and to defend our sovereignty. And it was on their advice that they said, you know what, there's not any adverse issue to have Guatemala join the case. I believe it's as an observer, because it's in their interest to see what happens there. We believe that we're grounded solidly in that claim against Honduras. But the issue was, if we got the substantive claim with Guatemala and then this one remained open, there was always maybe a case where Guatemala can reinvigorate or reintroduce this claim.
Yeah.
And so we took the advice. I think it was considered at the time, that was before my time as well, and a decision was made to do so. And so that process is going along, moving along, if I can say, smartly. But there's going to be another public campaign that has to be started, if not this year, early next year, to sensitize the Belizean people, to look at options, because when that claim and when we win that case, we will still have some administrative issues to do. We will need to make sure that we clear the area of the border, make sure that it's demarked, make sure that we have patrols in place, and we will have to turn to the Friends of Belize again for that type of assistance and help, so that we can get that done.
I imagine there would have to be a large educational campaign, not just for Belize, but also for Guatemala as well. And I say that because even on social media, I think just recently there was a TikTok, and the comment was, you know, why are you talking about Belize as a different country when it's still a part of Guatemala? And so even in 2026, the people within that nation still see us
And
as
social
a
media hasn't helped, because
No,
you
it
all
has
know
not.
that
information can be disseminated out there that is not correct. But
Right.
I will say, in another lifetime, when I was representing Belize as a volleyball athlete, one of the first tournaments when we arrived in Guatemala by airplane, they refused to stamp our passport.
Wow.
And we stayed in line and we said no. They said no, but you're the next district, and we said no.
Welcome home.
This is our
I have a
documentation.
passport and we're in different
We're
district.
registered for a championship. We're registered to take part as Belize, and so if we don't get our, and at that point, a half hour, an hour had passed, and then they decided, and so we got our stamps on our passport.
So from then you're a foreign rebel.
I didn't know, but there are instances where these things happen. We must ensure that we compartmentalize them and we don't say, oh, you see this is, and blow it out of proportion, because the foreign ministry, the diplomats in Guatemala, Ambassador Alpuche, work very hard to ensure that we work the process, that we work the
the process that the OAS has established, as well as under the UN. We're not looking for a confrontation, Isani, in the Sarspoon. And we know there's a cycle. Every September, everybody agitates on each side, and then it dies down, and then a couple months later it happens. It's not to say that we take that lightly, but we also must ensure that there's no loss of life for any Belizeans.
Indeed.
Right? And so I will say, leave it at that, that we continue to defend Belize's sovereignty at all levels using diplomacy. And if we can do it using diplomacy without getting into any armed confrontation, I always believe that then we've won 2 wars.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Indeed. But Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing what else you are doing at the ministry, and of course, drop by anytime with updates.
Thank you so much, April, for the invite. Hopefully we can get some of our technical people in next time, because they really are the movers and shakers for our ministry. I just have the title now as CEO, but it's to make sure that we get the best out of these individuals.
Indeed. All right, we take a quick break, and when we return, it's all about ensuring food safety and security in Belize.
When a child is asked to marry or live like an adult in an intimate relationship before turning 18, this is called child marriage or early union. Belize law states that no one under the age of 18 can get married. Even with the alleged consent of parents, it is illegal.
To learn more, follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
In the heart of the Kaya district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easier for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
Season 8 of KTV. I want for me, baby. This is a moment. If you got the voice, the vibe, and the passion to leave everything you've got on this stage. Mark your calendar and get camera ready. Auditions are June 6 and 7 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. At a Greater Belize, Leisure Studios and Coney Drive, Belize City. Hey, selected contestants will enter the KTV Season 8 competition, and the lucky winner will go home with a 10,000 grand prize. This is your moment. Are you ready? Are you ready? I want. This is your moment. Are you ready? Are you ready? I want for me. This is your moment.
Some hands do more than carry. They prepare, they fix, they comfort. They keep a home moving in ways few people notice. And even when the day is done, they are still thinking of home. For the months of May and June, we celebrate the hands that hold the home together, offering you 25% off on tiles, lights, fans, ACs, gardening supplies, and more, both in-store and online. Thank you, moms and dads, from Builders Hardware.
Haven't updated your information recently? Well, kick off the new year as a winner. RF&G Insurance is giving you a free chance to win every month. Entering is easy. Just chat with us on WhatsApp and update your information. That's it. You'll be automatically entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win awesome prizes. Don't wait. Message us on WhatsApp and update your info today. RF&G Insurance. It pays to get it right.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100# key. No stress, no waiting. Just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
Welcome back, and joining us for our second conversation. The discussion is moving into food safety and security in Belize. And joining us from the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, BAHA, is Dr. Natalie Gibson. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Doc.
And yesterday was Food Security
World
Safety Day.
Yes.
So we are going to be discussing food safety in Belize. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
When we're talking about food safety and security, what is it that the Belize Authority, BAHA, what do they do?
Okay, so food safety in Belize is a shared mandate primarily between BAHA and the Ministry of Health. So Ministry of Health, they operate primarily at the retail level, restaurants, hotels, street vendors, and our primary focus is in processing.
Right.
So we do import and export certification for food products. We are in establishments that are registered. We're conducting routine inspections, pulling products periodically to sample and test their safety. We also do the HACCP audits for facilities who have reached a level where they have that system implemented.
The security or the bylaws that Belize has when it comes to food safety here, how is it that you all are ensure, for example, that the product is safe, that there are not certain hormones that are being pumped into our animals and so on?
Okay, so that is partly at the farm level, but also in the processing plants, what we're doing is we're inspecting the hygiene practices, which is actually broader than you would think from the word hygiene. And then when we get to HACCP, then there are additional controls. And I mentioned that we do pull samples for testing. So we would look at, in terms of when you have HACCP, the facilities will have records in place monitoring, because they have to control. HACCP basically means I love it because it's simple. It's HACCP, which is hazard analysis and critical control point. And it's basically you're looking at the hazards in your process, and then you implement then critical points to mitigate any risks from those hazards that have a probability of being in the product. So for example, hormones, the facilities that have HACCP, so they would look at what are the risks? What are the microbiological risks? What are the chemical risks? And then they would put in the controls. So you might have things like supplier guarantees, where the farmers, some of our HACCP facilities, they monitor actually when a flock of chicken is brought into slaughter, they will have the record, what was utilized, what drugs were administered to the chicken, when, to ensure that before then it's slaughtered, that it would meet the safety requirements.
I always wonder about why these things are important. And I know like you have certain ports that Baja definitely controls, that airport, the marine port, of course the borders and so forth on land, where you all ensure and inspect that nothing that is going to be quote unquote hazardous comes into the country. But I want to be clear on certain products that we're talking about. For example, I accidentally had an apple in my bag one time when I was coming in through the airport. I forget about it and then clock it and then inspect everything now because of this one apple. Why do we go through this? Why is this so important?
Okay, so that at the border, or the border inspectors, what most countries call border inspectors, which in Belize, in Baja, are quarantine inspectors.
Yeah.
And so they basically do that role for animal health, plant health, and food safety. So they're at the border inspecting for compliance with all three when it comes to products. So with the apple, that would more likely have to do with plant health, and the pest risk with bringing fresh fruits into the country.
Okay.
Then I want to bring in medfly.
Well, no, but I just, again, right? Nobody, when you leave the country where you're bringing in that product, that apple in my bag, the whole time that gone through TSA, that gone through everything, but as soon as I got into Belize, it was like, nope, we're flagging this apple and we're flagging everything else. So it's not necessarily about what you remove from the country, but it's definitely what we're bringing in.
I want to go back to the whole idea of food safety from the perspective of HACCP. Simply because we do a lot of processing in terms of poultry, in terms of other foods that we consume at the retail level. But I'm not sure if a lot of these producers, if I could describe them as such, adhere to these rigid standards in terms of ensuring that what we consume meets those food safety regulations.
Okay, yeah, so I need to say that HACCP is not mandatory.
Okay.
At the national level. And we've had countries that will identify what the high-risk products are. When I say, I mean, you know, our neighbor, the U.S., is one of the ones that we look at. And so they will say, for these products, you have to have a HACCP system in place.
Yeah.
Our laws don't say that. So it's not something that we enforce. So what you'll find is primarily it's the businesses that want to export then that will implement a HACCP system, because it will usually be a requirement for them from the importing country. So we then tend to focus on good hygiene practices. So that is mandatory. So that involves ensuring that the facilities are doing their cleaning properly, their cleaning and sanitation, the personnel, starting off just from the structure of the establishment, the way it's designed, the flow of the personnel, the flow of the products, that there's no risk of cross-contamination. And where a lot of our facilities fail is in the record keeping. So, you know, that's really important, because we need to ensure simple things from the water that you're using in the plant that you pump out of a well. We need to ensure, well, the food business needs to ensure that the water that they're using is meeting drinking water quality.
Right.
So, yeah, and then the structure, what your equipment is made of, that it can be cleaned properly, and people don't always see the importance. I can't skip hand washing.
No, you can't skip hand washing. But
that's arguably the most important.
Indeed,
right?
I mean, COVID taught us. But in terms of the way that Baja works, right? It's a statutory body.
Yes.
But I would imagine that you do have to work certain intersectoral levels, right? You have to ensure that you collaborate with not just the Ministry of Health, but perhaps other ministries that are environmental industries and so forth that are in charge to ensure that everybody is keeping these food security laws well and up, right? How are you all ensuring that these communications and these collaborations are strengthened? Because when you're talking about clean water, I'm sure that you still have to talk to like environment about that. Whatever fish comes out and whatever fish is being sold in the supermarket, you have to ensure that there's no chemicals in those fishes and in those fish parts, right? So how does that communication and that collaboration work? And I'm also happy to introduce our next guest that just came in on the couch with us, Mr. Nestor Correa. He is the food safety inspector at the at Baja. So good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. But yes.
Yes. Yes, so the multi-sectoral collaboration is important, and actually just last year we had an assessment of our food control system, and I think it helped all the participants, which we had Baja, we had the DOE, the Bureau of Standards, Ministry of Health, to understand that it is one system, and so that multi-sectoral coordination is important. One of the things that we know we need to do is we need to form a food safety committee at the national level to make that coordination, formalize it. The reporting. We do have some mechanisms right now. We have a One Health committee where we do have some shared reporting. But yes, but we have a lot more that we need to do, which the assessment told us, basically developed a roadmap for us as to where we need to go.
Let's get Mr. Correa in on the conversation. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk about your position at Baja.
Well, my position is a food safety inspector. I do the inspection on the processing facilities. For example, at the fish and fishery products facility, meat products. We do also in dairy products and in plant products.
What are the standards that need to be kept by these facilities to ensure that the food is safe for us to consume?
Well, we practice make sure that they are complying with good manufacturing practices and sanitary standard operating procedures, which is the backbone for HACCP. If they don't have those prerequisite programs, then their HACCP system will not work.
So when we look at certain industries, right? So the poultry industry, for instance, readily comes to mind in terms of the number of companies that are operating in that particular space or that market. How do you ensure that they're all at a particular level where they're compliant with what those rules are, so that the food that we end up consuming is actually of the highest, perhaps, quality or standard?
Like, HACCP is not mandatory, but the principles that we need to make sure that they are practicing good hygiene practices. They have good manufacturing practices. For example, their design of their facility, the structure, the environmental, their hand washing stations, hygiene. Also, they have control of their temperature and personal health, hygiene again, personal health. And that's how we are making sure that the food that is sold in Belize is healthy, is wholesome.
I think that when we are thinking about the Baja, what comes to mind are like the fresh produce, right? Whether that be plant or animal-based products. We don't do mass production for exportation when it comes to like the slaughterhouses and so forth. But for what we have right now, what are some of the guidelines? Like, are you talking about ensuring that the manufacturing stations are clean, that there's good hygiene and so forth? But how are we managing that? How are we ensuring that? What is it that they need to have?
Well, to export the mandatory and what the country of origin that importing will require is HACCP, or sometimes more like a GFSI or a third party and auditor, third party, private party. And so, and The minimum that they're accepting is the Codex one that is in HACCP. But we try to make sure that they meet HACCP and they comply. But each country have their different requirements for the importation.
Does that make our lives easier or harder over at Baja?
It's easier. Actually, we prefer, one of the things that Nestor does a lot, and it works out great for us, is when the facilities come to us before they haven't even constructed yet.
Okay.
So then from the outset, Nestor will be the primary one who will evaluate the layout. We also have, let me not single out Nestor, we also have inspectors in the north, we have inspectors in the west who do that same work. They're primarily in the meat establishments.
Okay.
Yes, but yeah, ensure that it's designed properly, and then they need to have procedures, they need to have records. Which I mentioned is one of the big weaknesses that we have. So, a surface might look clean, and a lot of times we are dependent on that visual inspection, but you need to ensure that they are preparing the disinfecting solutions properly, that they're following Nestor reference standard sanitation procedures, that that the people who are doing the cleaning are actually doing it properly.
As we are coming down to a closure of our conversation, what is it that Belizeans need to know when it comes to food safety and security in Belize?
I think it's important to know where you're buying from, to know that they have the necessary hygiene standards in place. So you would want to ensure that it's facilities that are either licensed by the Ministry of Health or registered by Baja. And of course, that does not negate our practices at home that we need to have in place as well.
And how do we find these online? These safety regulations, how do we know where we're getting our food from?
Well, all our Baja registered facilities will have displayed in their facility our registration certificate. They will have that framed. If they have HACCP, they will have on the label of the package, it will show that their HACCP system has been recognized by Baja.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for joining us this morning. Food safety and security is all of our business because all we eat, right? Yeah. So we are thank you so much.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
And also what I wanted to mention is that food business operators need to be committed for the food safety system. If we are not committed, then also we are having luck.
All right. Yeah, that's true. It has to come from everybody's part. You all can only do so much as the authority, but everybody has to ensure that they are practicing good food safety and security in Belize. All right, we take a quick break, and when we come back, it's all about celebrating World Ocean Day with Oceana.
Full-Tech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Full-Tech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomie. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
Haven't updated your information recently? Well, kick off the new year as a winner. RF&G Insurance is giving you a free chance to win every month. Entering is easy. Just chat with us on WhatsApp and update your information. That's it. You'll be automatically entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win awesome prizes. Don't wait. Message us on WhatsApp and update your info today. RF&G Insurance. It pays to get it right.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Walk, and more on the way. We're bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about signal, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
World Ocean Day, and in to talk to us all about it are our friends from Oceana. We have on the couch Miriam Longsworth, and she's a communications specialist over at Oceana. Good morning. Good morning. And joining her is Jacinta Gomez, and she is the campaign and policy director over at Oceana. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having us.
Yes. It's all about World Ocean Day. What are we doing to protect our oceans? Let's talk about the theme.
Yes, so this year, World Oceans Day is being celebrated under the theme Reimagining Beyond the World We Know, a New Relationship with Our Ocean. And I really like this theme because it invites everyone to rethink the way they look at the ocean. I think for years we've seen it as a resource that we can extract from.
Yes.
You know, there are many exploitative industries. And so it invites us to look at the ocean as something that really sustains us. In Belize, we know that more than anyone else, right? We're so dependent on our marine resources. 1 in 4 Belizeans depend on those resources through tourism and fishing. It contributes so greatly to our GDP as well through those industries. And so looking at how we can be guardians of that resource, really, like how do we advocate for the protection, but also looking at the communities that really depend on those resources for their livelihoods, how we can support that sustainably. So I really like the theme this year. I think it's different from other years. World Oceans Day is celebrated on June 8th every year. It's a UN, declared day. And it's just one day to really highlight the ocean. But again, in Belize, we know every day we celebrate our connection to our sea through our cultural identity, and then as well through the economics. It's really the economic backbone of our society.
In commemoration of World Oceans Day, do you guys believe that Belizeans appreciate the fact that we depend so much on our sea spaces and our blue economy?
I think we do. I think Belizeans know better than a lot of other people who how much a healthy ocean means to our livelihoods, to our health, to our enjoyment, to our inspiration. Because even in our art, in our music, we make reference to our sea. For our cultures, we're directly linked to it as well. So I feel like we do understand how important it is to protect our sea. But at the same time, there is still work to be done. And it's not just for World Oceans Day that we focus on this, but like Jacinta said earlier, every day the ocean is a big part of who we are as Belizeans. And we shouldn't take it for granted. We need to remember that although we're seeing health and abundance right now, our resources are not infinite. And that is why days like today exist. It's a reminder that
every day we need to take action to protect
How
it.
do we balance sustaining our sea and ensuring that it's healthy and it remains for other generations to come with development?
Yeah.
Because as Belizeans, we understand how important and vital it is for our livelihood, but I think a lot of the times our challenge is to educate foreign investment.
Right.
So how is it that we ensure that there is that progressive way for development in Belize while ensuring that we sustain our seafront?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's always this narrative that it's either conservation or protecting the environment versus development, and that's not the case at all. Development cannot take place on an environment that is continuously degraded, and so it has to be hand in hand. And I think it comes back to planning. In Belize, we've done an amazing job of marketing ourselves as an eco-tourist destination, right? People come from all over the world to Belize to dive, to snorkel, to experience our barrier reef. We internationally and locally, in terms of legislation, we are, we've signed agreements like the Blue Bonds. We have legislation like the moratorium against offshore oil. So we've done a lot of things that align with that. But at the same time, there are foreign investments that might not align with that. And so it really comes back to planning, but also ensuring that locals and Belizeans have a say in those decisions, because when we're making those decisions together, that's when the best possible outcome happens. And so really trying to amplify the voices of the stakeholders, the users of the resource, like, fishers and tour guides who depend on that resource every single day and know what it would mean for them and their families if that resource is no longer there to sustain their livelihood. So I think it really is planning together. How do we build together the future Belize that we all want to see, in terms of, ensuring that we're making foreign investments come in that align with that agenda, and it's not just any and every opportunity that we'll say yes to. It's really sticking to the plans, and we have the plans.
Yeah.
That's a great thing, right? Like we have the plans, so it's really a matter of making sure that those decisions align with the plans and involving the communities and the locals that would be impacted negatively if those developments were to have those negative impacts. I think recently we've seen great examples of Belizeans really speaking up and saying, we don't like this dredging that's happening. We have the Placenta community recently that stood up and said, hey, like, what is this about? We know what the Placenta Lagoon does for us, for our local economy, and this doesn't align with that. And so it's great when we collaborate, when we can come together at the same table to discuss the bigger picture, right? And I think it really comes down to planning ahead and seeing how we can have more of that conversation, more locals being involved in the decisions that are being made.
It seems that there's a perpetual competition or race between conservation and development where our sea spaces are concerned, right? You've mentioned the issue of dredging recently. Similarly, if you look at Hamburger Ski, where everybody is in a race to develop property to make it part of the tourism product, but then in some cases it comes at the expense of the environment. In this case, we're talking about the Caribbean Sea that we use every day for our livelihoods and what have you. But it doesn't seem like it's going away. Every day we're having, I would describe it as conflicts where that is concerned. I think of Cayo Rosario, for instance, and the fact that there was all of this noise being made by conservationists who are saying, look, let's slow down and look at what we're actually doing to the environment, as opposed to simply just putting up another structure and we're marketing it for profit.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that it gives me hope when I see Belizeans, everyday Belizeans. So you don't have to be a conservationist or a scientist, right? Everyday Belizeans that are using their platform to call these things out. Again, we have laws that are to protect the environment. And so it really does take all of us. We know that monitoring and enforcement is expensive. Budgets are not infinite either, right? So it's a matter of how the government, civil society, NGOs, and locals really can come together to address these issues, but also from the onset, not when it's already too late, not when you're outing fires everywhere. It has to be planned in a way that we're building together. And there are great examples in terms of recently in Jamaica, for example, there's a case where everyday citizens challenged an environmental permit, and the court ruled that they had the constitutional right to challenge that and revoke the permit for I think it was a mining company in a very environmentally sensitive area in Jamaica, based on the fact that in their constitution they have a right to a healthy environment. And I think things like that are great examples for us to see that it's never too late to really speak up and to advocate for the fact that my livelihood depends on this resource. It's not just a cultural thing, right? It comes down to dollars and cents for many Belizeans. And so that example, I would definitely recommend anyone to look it up. It's the Wendy Lee et al. Versus the Attorney General of Jamaica, and it's a really cool case because they were able to win that case before the project started. So it was the threat of environmental damage. And really being able for the court to say, okay, no, you have a right to a healthy environment, and this project would, deter that. Right.
I like that we're talking about this because I think in Belize, people talk about the jewel and people talk about our green economy or blue economy and so forth. But you're right, if we don't sustain the blue, we have no economy to rely on.
And what do we do with jewels, with our jewels? We protect them.
Exactly.
So.
We have to ensure that it's there for future generations to come. But
protect what we love.
Oceana, how are we continuing the campaign to sustain our Caribbean Sea?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we continue to amplify voices across the country in terms of protection of our marine resources. We continue to work with local stakeholders through the Belize Coalition to Save Our Natural Heritage. Currently, we're working on revising the Guide to Public Participation, which is, it was a book, but we want to transform it to a digital guide so that Belizeans know where and how to participate in those decisions, like the EIA regulations. And we're hoping to launch that at the end of summer. That's a timeline, so definitely stay tuned for that. But yeah, just continuing to push for best practices and for locals to be involved in decisions. We've done work in the past with Fish Right, Eat Right, which is a collaborative effort. Many agencies, the government, NGOs, restaurants coming together to push for best practices when it comes to sourcing seafood. So we were talking about food security earlier, and I think it's important for Belizeans to be aware of the regulations when it comes to seafood, closed season, open season, because if there's a demand for illegal product, then that will continue to perpetuate the problem that we have, right? So as consumers, we also have to play our role in terms of knowing, oh, lobster season is closed, it's gonna open July 1st. So until then, I can't ask my local fisherman for lobster. Fish supposed to have a skin patch on it so that I know what fish I'm buying to avoid fish fraud. We've seen in the past fish fraud is a huge thing that's happening, unfortunately. But I think if we educate ourselves and we ask the right questions about our seafood, where it's being sourced, who caught it, is it sustainable, then it helps to push us in the right direction for sure.
And that's always one of the ways that we always tell people that's how you can help to make a difference, how you can take action. Because like Jacinta said earlier, you don't have to be a scientist or a conservationist for you to make a difference in protecting our sea and protecting our oceans. So that's one of the ways, just being mindful of when you are purchasing your seafood, what are you supporting? What type of fish are you supporting? And if you are out there doing that, then that in turn can trickle down to fishers realizing that, hey, we won't have support if we're not doing the right thing.
Maria?
So we produced the fish ID chart under Fish Right Eat Right. So you can go on the Fish Right Eat Right website and see photos of different commonly purchased fish species and what the patch is supposed to look like. So that when you're purchasing fillet, you know, okay, this skin patch is supposed to be
Red
snapper.
snapper.
Exactly. Because a lot of people don't know, right? And then it's easy to, you know, throw one over your head.
Pass it off as something else.
Exactly.
It's happened many times.
Yes, there was an incident where I think in San Pedro, at Elvis Kitchen, there was a crazy glued skin patch on the fillet.
Stop it.
Wow. Yes, this was in the news maybe like 4 years ago. So it's really, but because Chef Jenny Staines is so, you know, educated on, you know, fish species, such a great chef, and she knows, she was like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right? Yeah. And started asking questions and realized that it was actually angel fish that was being passed off.
Oh, wow.
Which is protected,
yes.
being passed off as another species. So yeah, it's really about knowing the laws and asking the right questions.
Ladies, this has been a very insightful conversation. So as a global community, we say happy World Oceans Day. And we continue to safeguard our natural heritage for future generations. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we are going to take a break and we're going to switch gears into Flavas of the Jewel. It's a runway show.
Not just cigarette, vape, hookah, cigar, and all kind of tobacco product, Lego, dangerous smoke, and toxic chemical. When you smoke or vape, that cloud they not disappear. It turn into second-hand smoke and third-hand smoke where people wrong your breathing. That kind of smoke that could cause cancer, diabetes, lungs disease, and heart problems. It could kill anybody who get exposed to it. If you smoke or vape, go outside, far from people. Everybody deserves to breathe clean air.
Maria's was planned to open in 2020, and that's when COVID came. I thought the dream was dead. People would come to my house, they would purchase the coffees from there. That gave me the little confidence, like, okay, I could do this. Atlantic Bank, of course, helped me take the next step. Once I had their support, it was smooth sailing from there. This business is my life. It's literally what provides my family with food and employment. I employ 3 family members, so it's really everything for us.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Dangriga, something big is coming your way. Open Your Eyes Summerfest 2026 is heading to the culture capital, Dangriga. Join us on June 12th at 6:30 a.m. at the iconic Alejo Beni Park for a morning filled with energy, excitement, and pure talent. This year, it's all about the kids, from singing to dancing, poetry to performances. If they've got talent, we've got the stage. Bring out the entire family and come celebrate creativity, culture, and the future stars of Belize. Expect fun, music, surprises, and unforgettable moments. Don't miss it. Open Your Eyes Summerfest 2026, where young talent shines the brightest.
Our top priority, we got your world with strength and integrity. From home, cars and rentals, business too. We make protection simply easy for you. BB Insurance, trusted and true.
Insurance. Your security, our priority.
When your baby feels comfortable, you feel confident. Because every little moment deserves protection you can trust. Kushkin's diapers are designed with ultra-absorbent layers that lock in leaks while staying soft, dry, and gentle on delicate skin. So your baby can play freely, and you can enjoy every smile without worry. Kushkin's diapers, comfort they feel, protection you trust. Kushkin's diapers and wipes are available countrywide at a supermarket near you.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA. So you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing *100# using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
Insurance fact. Did you know Home Protector Insurance provides liability insurance that is for licensing? Public liability insurance for the hotels and guest houses protects the guests staying at the resort. Tour operators insurance for on-site tourists and marine passenger liability for passengers. You take care of your guests, we'll take care of you. Visit any Home Protector Insurance office near you to learn more.
Belize is kicking off Father's Day with popping deals for dad in the month of June. Visit a Belize near you and get store-wide discounts on selected items such as Milwaukee and Axie power tools, Charbroil barbecue grills, car care products, Karcher pressure washers, and much, much more. Make dad happy with popping deals for dad in June, only at Belize.
Belize, oh, Belize, Belize.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
Welcome back. We are wrapping up our Monday morning show with Flavas of the Jewel, and in to tell us all about this runway expose really are some of our well-known artisans and designers in Belize. We have on the couch Runway Kenya, and she is the creator of Zavia. Right. Good morning, Runelli. We also have Landy Longsworth, and she is the owner of Sol Clay Jewelry. Good morning. And of course, Emilio Pereira, and he is the owner of Emilio Pereira Designs. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Flavas of the Jewel, and it's coming back to life, right? Because you guys started, I believe it was like 2 years ago. Last year we missed you. Or did we miss you last year?
It was, we still had a fashion show.
Right?
Technically, we were at the investment summit.
Right, and then now you are resurfacing again as a full runway show. So let's talk about Flavors of the Jewel. What is it, and why should we as Belizeans support it? Ranelli.
Flavors of the Jewel is a fashion show, but moreover, it's a platform dedicated to advancing the Belizean designers and artisans by giving them creative exposure, professional training, and also industry building opportunities. And all with that, with the aim and the vision to having our Flavors of the Jewel being Belize's premier fashion event.
I like it. But it's also a space for people of Belize to see what is coming out of the creative minds of
and
some
experience
of our
it.
and experience it for sure. I know you design your clothing, not just wedding dresses. There's so many designs that you do. Landy designs beautiful art in her jewelry, and then of course Emilio does his bags. But how is it that you're all collaborating together, that we see all of these different creative pockets come to life? Emilio?
Well, it's beautiful to see, because like sometimes as a creative, as an artist, you feel alone, like you're in your own box. So it's great to see that we have like a community now, which wasn't there before. And then it's beautiful that when we're together, we feed off each other, and like, we motivate each other and inspire each other. And that's the beauty of this space, and like, we would like to advance or like to promote this space with other designers and provide that space, and eventually you'd see like the work that we bring, like it's really beautiful, and I could attest with Landy's. Like, I'm really proud of her collection this year.
Okay. My only thing is, and perhaps this is my bias, right? When we usually talk to designers, men and women, more often than not, it's women's clothing that we're discussing.
I agree.
And
I
not necessarily
agree.
stuff that the average guy could connect with.
I agree. Well, I started Emilio Pereira as a men's brand, doing things that I loved, and like my wallets, belts, things that I needed. And it's more often than not, it was the wife's girlfriend, mother buying for their husband, their boyfriend, and I agree, and like there's limited space for that, but also, interesting research is that women are the purchasing power of the economy, and they're the drivers of culture, so like what they support, and they drive that, so like the company kind of changed and shifted.
But see, the real life translation of all of that, for me, simply means that there are less products that I can actually look for and enjoy, because everything is manufactured and or marketed for the female demographic.
Have you been to any of our shows?
Admittedly, no.
Okay.
So forgive my generalities, not the case.
If you've been to the show, if you've seen our social media, you will see pieces made for men. And it is something that I encourage since day one, that and the inclusivity of our diverse sizes, women especially. So even with our models, when we're doing casting, we don't have a very strict requirements, because we welcome all shapes, sizes, and colors. And we do have our plus sizes, our, what we call normal full figure, and of course the standard model sizes and heights. And we do have guys, and we encourage them. Everyone knows we encourage them. Hi guys, please at least one piece for the men, because they are coming too. Even with me, I always try to push at least one piece. And now that you're saying, I think I want to put one.
Really? The show is this weekend. But like, for example, Landy, just to bring you in on the conversation a bit, like I said, you have clothing and you have accessories, right? How do you ensure that your jewelry pieces are like the main star of that show when they're coming down the runway?
So this year it's exciting. Last year the year before I participated, and I had to make pieces that complemented the style of the clothing with the designer that I was working with. This year I get to make pieces for me with my own models. And so I have the flexibility to tell them what clothing I want them to wear so that my jewelry get highlighted. And the beauty about the flavors of the jewel, you go big and you go bold and you go colorful, and so that's what you can expect from Sol. So the pieces really will speak for themselves.
Can people purchase there on that day?
Yes.
Yes, that the way we have like a shopping experience like during the event. So it's not just the fashion show. You know, you come in and then you get to meet the different designers, the artisans, see their work, because it's a platform as well to connect with the Belizean community.
And this year is a bit different, where we're inviting designers that are not interested or they don't know what Flavas is yet. So we are inviting them to be part of only the shopping experience. And for that, we hope to inspire them to come next year as a designer showcasing.
How do you prepare for something like this? And I have to imagine that your work schedules and your life schedules and your Flavas schedules kind of have to kind of come together to make sure you sleep a little bit.
We're running on passion.
But this, I imagine, like, because you guys are not the only designers, there are other designers as well, but you have to ensure that there's X amount of pieces that are coming down the runway, and you have to have them available also for possible purchase, right? So how do you prepare for something like that?
And on top of that, what we don't really advertise much, which is also a crucial part of the platform, what that we're trying to create, is that every year, so this will be our third fashion show, we have mentorships and we have pre-fashion show workshops. Throughout the years, we have been very fortunate to network with other designers from outside of Belize, from the Caribbean and beyond, and I do my best to bring them back, and even if it's online, to do workshops on different topics. So this year we had 2, and we partnered up with Belizean talents like Damien and Saidi, and we did 2 workshops, one on the blueprint of creating a cohesive collection, and the other is more about storytelling and finding yourself as a designer, as an artist, which we believe that once we embrace that translates into the products that we are creating. So if
I remember that workshop.
Yes, and it was really, really nice. It's very intimate, and then we get to have those conversations that we usually don't have. And besides that, we had our mentorship program this year, which was a bit more new, where we had Caribbean designers. We had from Bahamas, from Aruba, from Jamaica. We had Emilia, one of our mentors, and then we paired them up with one of the designers, where they get to help them fine-tune their collections, and then to see beyond Belize, what is out there, what is there to offer. We have one of them, Ravi, from Jamaica, and she's like, Renelli, if you could get those products to Jamaica, we'll have them at Devon House for sale, and we'll have more people seeing what Belize has to offer.
I really like that. I am a huge supporter of Belizean entrepreneurship, as you all know. I think I have a product from all of them. But how do we ensure that Belizeans buy in? Because it's not easy for you all to do the manufacturing.
I thought the same. Like in my head, it was like coming to the resorts, and I was like in a direction, and I was surprised that it has all been Belizean supported. Like I haven't even touched that market. It has been beautiful to see the support and the influx of the support, and and they're excited about the products as well. So that really motivates me.
That's interesting too, though, because just casual conversation with the average Belizean consumer, we tend to lean a lot on American or designer brands that are from outside of the country, right? Yeah. So from my point of view, I think it's rare when you actually meet a Belizean who can speak about a Belizean made brand, you know, especially if we're talking about fashion, right? Because everybody wants the Prada and the this and that, and because of the names that are associated with it, right? Yeah. And the other thing, the other observation is that sometimes we as Belizeans believe that whatever is made at home is inferior in quality to whatever else that we purchase from outside.
I agree too, and it's just like it depends on the artist as well to scale their quality. You know, like we're comparing. So for me, like the competition is like, let's say Gucci and all of these brands, right? And it's just leveling up. So I'm tasked or responsible in the kind of material, how I do it, the quality control, you know, and the storytelling as well, and all like you know, because they're competing with marketing, basically.
I think the opposite though. I think your competition is not so much designer because you guys are unique in your own
No, I say for like the public. Like,
but I'm thinking about competition with fast fashion.
Oh, well, that.
Because that's in itself.
Well,
like
in a way,
for
it's
me,
not competition because like there's two different sectors. There's one in appreciation of how things are made, and one is just more on the surface.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like our storytelling resonates with mostly like the people that are looking for that, and then eventually it moves. You know, and that's what we bank on actually. It's just like a ripple effect because we know we can't like compete with the fast fashion, you know, but slowly we're trying to get a hold of these minds and seeing how we could like.
I think it's the intimacy of the artists and Belizean public though, because I love that I could just call up and be like, I need a model for look like this, right? I need my earring for have this, and you guys will make it. And I don't know if we realize that yet that's a huge luxury. You don't find that in other countries. Like you don't have, you know, landing on speed dial being like, I need my earring. No, right? You don't have that. And I think that that's something to appreciate. But as we are coming down to the wire, flavors of the jewel, when, where, tickets, how can we get it? What's the price point?
Okay, so I gotta really shout out some organizations first. First, we cannot do what we do, especially for this year, if we didn't have partnerships. The attendees, our clients, are huge partners, but this year we have to thank Niche. For being part of this, actually pushing us and encouraging us to do it this year. They heard about the vision, they support it, and they want to be a huge part of it. We have BTB and we have Bell Trade, LED, we have Hot Off the Press, and we have a lot of other organizations that are still on the phone trying to see how they can be part of this event.
That's awesome.
It will be on June 13th, which is this Saturday, at the House of Culture in Belize City. We have two different events. We start with the cocktail hour, which is for the VIP experience, where they get to have the first hand look at Damian Moore exhibition. He is the recipient of the Culture Fund, which is huge for Belize. Yes, huge for Belize. We are one of the winners, and that will be like the culmination of his project, where we get to see about the carnival costumes, but how he integrated Belizean storytelling into his designs. And from there, we go down into the courtyard for the fashion show at 7:30.
Beautiful.
And following that will be the shopping experience, where the attendees get to meet us, the designers, and other Belizean artisans and other entrepreneurs.
What time does everything start from the VIP event to the fashion show?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So make sure you're there by 5:30.
Yes, please.
But guys, congratulations to you and the other artists and designers as well. Looking forward to this experience. It's going to be beautiful. If you want to support the orange economy and your local artisan, you should definitely attend this
Support the creatives.
Yes, indeed.
And buy your tickets at Quick Pass.
Quick Pass. Only?
Yes. Only.
Only.
And at the door.
Okay. But thank you all so much and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We are wrapping up our Monday morning show, and we just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our viewers, and thank you to our guests. It is June 8th.
Yes, it is.
And if it is your birthday today, happy birthday to you. And if you have a birthday shout out or just a question or a comment, you can drop us a line right here at oye@greaterbelize.com. You can also catch us on our social medias on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelize. Our TikTok is openyoureyes.bz. Yes. And you can also text us on our WhatsApp number, that's 675-2555. But please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Till then, keep your eyes, your minds,
And your hearts open.
Good morning, Belize. Have a wonderful Monday.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.